What is going on, All-Terrain Nation? Tonight is Bronco night, and of course, we got a pretty good show tonight, I think. But what is going on, man? I'm sorry, I've jumped into this a little quickly. You did. Kelly had me flustered on something, and then as it were, causing trouble. Yeah, Kelly's causing trouble. But you have no. Please subscribe if you haven't yet.
Longest 9 seconds of
I know,
our lives.
That's ridiculous. But anyway, so tonight we've got a
sound is off.
Chip.
Sound like you're in a bathysphere. Talking in a vacuum.
Well, hold on.
Yeah,
all right. Let's put a timeout just a second.
Bear with us. We're having some technical difficulties, it looks like, tonight. So make sure my audio is correct. There we go, Behringer. Hopefully you guys can hear us now. Hopefully everything's good now. What are they saying, Kelly?
Better. Producer Dave needs to be fired for messing up Kelly's live stream.
Wow. She takes my Bronco and my show. But so tonight we've got Mr. Luke Panko on. Luke, what is going on, buddy?
I was going to say,
not too much.
Man,
I think more often than not when I'm on, there's some sort of technical difficulty.
So how do you survive through your channel with no technical difficulties?
Well, I don't know. I don't do anything live. I think that's the key. At least I haven't yet.
Luke's a smart guy. He's like, nope, I'm not doing this.
He's like, I'm out. I'm out.
So what is going on, everybody? If it wasn't Luke, we would be really in a messed up mess here. But
502 Bourbon Cruises 1 week with no driving for Dave.
What? Wait, what? Look, Luke, man, I'm losing my Bronco by the day. I lose it a little bit more, and now they're trying to kick me out of my show, dude. Does the dog? I know it's the dog's birthday up there, but does he got a little room in the kennel for me? Because I might need some.
Yeah, he'll make room.
As long as you don't try to get in the passenger seat of the Bronco.
Yeah, right. Oh man, but Kelly, introduce everybody. What's going on? Luke, you're a friend of the show. You're just gonna have to put up with us here.
Luke's like, thanks.
I know, man.
Mobile Moto is in the house. Let's see. Brian Slick, Michael Rivas. So just a quick housekeeping. Michael Rivas, I looked up some of about the gifting thing, and they're doing like a you're essentially opting in if they decide to gift a 1-month membership to you. YouTube is doing it as a beta thing to some channels. So if you want to opt in, you can opt in. But it is not us putting it out. It's YouTube actually doing it as a
I looked in the background. That's part of the flustering. I was quickly looking in the background of
what did we do?
Right? What have we messed up?
Mark King in the house, Maki fan from Michigan in the house, Bronco 78. Let's see. YouTube Car Spotters guy coming in early tonight. Overlanding for fun. John Burnett, Valley Dude 5000, Jessica Dunn. Guess who finally got a VIN build week email, says Jessica.
Congratulations.
Awesome. And of course we know 502 Bourbon Cruise in the house because they're banning you from driving my Bronco. Dirk Connor, Eric Jefferson, and Flo is in the house, and Peugeot, Dr. Detroit.
The cast of characters are in here tonight. So,
I know, right?
So tonight was kind of this is Moab week here for the channel because, well, I didn't get to go to Moab, so I wouldn't have experienced it through all my friends that actually were there at the same time and didn't realize they were there at the same time. But Luke, man, it's been a minute since we've talked to you. But first off, you were the ultimate dick move before we were going. When I was still planning on going to Moab, Luke sent me this picture and goes, "Hey, does my Bronco look any taller?" And I was like, "Did you put a a lift on this? He was like, yeah, I got to look bigger than yours. And I was like,
I hadn't even heard this yet.
yeah, I was like, are you freaking kidding me, man? Yeah, but how was putting a lift on these things?
It was terrible.
Really?
So I got the Zone Off-Road lift because our buddy Derek works at, I think it's called Sport Truck USA, and Zone Off-Road is one of their companies. So I talked to Derek, I talked to our friend Nestor. I said, I'm thinking about doing this. What are your thoughts? Is this a good, because it's a puck and it is I can't think of the word. It spaces the coil spring up a little bit too. So you put like a different
Oh, it's
seat.
the sleeve. Is it the sleeve?
Yeah, I can't think of the name of them, but anyway, so it's kind of a combination. And Derek talked to the engineer over there, and he's like, "Yeah, it won't affect your CV angles or anything like that." Because the last thing I wanted to do was make it 2 inches taller to add 200 more problems.
Yeah.
So I watched a couple YouTube videos, which none of them show the frustrating parts. And then I was going to also make my own video. I got like 4 hours into a supposed 2-hour install and couldn't film it because I was so pissed off about how this process was going. And you have to use an air hammer a whole bunch of times. And I have an air hammer, like I have all the tools. It was just incredibly difficult to get. Really, it's like a T-bar that holds the strut to the lower control arm. For the life of me, it was so difficult to get those bolts out. And they don't really tell you have to take them out, but then once you get to the point where you're trying to remove the strut, you're like, no, that's physically the only way. But the instructions just say it's optional. Well, I don't know what the other option was, so it was very difficult to remove them. I finally got it, but I think it took me about 8 hours, and the instruction sheet said easy install, 2 hours to complete. And I'm like, maybe in a full shop where you've got like 3 guys working on it, but
yeah, that's nuts. And of course, you still have to disassemble the coil itself once you get it out of the thing.
right.
And how are these for disassemble? Because I remember Kelly's Xteras were a nightmare. There were so many weird little rubber bushings in between the plate and everything. How was this?
This wasn't really too bad. And so you could actually get it out of the vehicle without taking this bar thing out. You couldn't get it back in once the strut was a little bit taller. That was the problem.
Okay.
So I actually got it out and I got it taken apart, and the instructions really were written pretty well. So that was what I didn't want to do, was take the whole strut apart, but it really just seemed like the best way. And I just have like the cheap, the like little clamps that clamp onto the spring, little spring compressors, and they're most people's not favorite way to tear apart a strut, but I didn't have a choice. So I did that, and it came apart pretty easily and went back together pretty easily. That whole disassembly maybe took 15-20 minutes per side. And then the back ones, you just take them out, pop a plate on the top, and put them back in. So for the most part, it wasn't too bad.
How much lift did you end up getting out of this thing?
So it was 2 inches in the front, and it's supposed to be like 1.5 inches in the rear, I think is what it was. So it's not, when I park next to, so a guy here in town has, it's actually just like your truck, except it's the carbonized gray. And
then it's not like mine. Rapid Red is very unique.
Well,
it's just very, very unique.
But he has aftermarket 35s as well, and we were parked next to each other, and it's like the mirrors are maybe like this much different. You can tell that mine's a little bit taller, but it's not like huge.
Right.
Well, we found that we were taller than you in Gatlinburg.
Yeah, it was strange. We were slightly taller than you. Both have the Sasquatch package. I'm just a Badlands, and you were a Black Diamond.
Right.
And you were running a true 35 versus the factory wheels I have.
And most of that's probably, I don't remember off the top of my head. I think I had about 100 pounds more of skid plates, 100 pounds
Yeah.
more
Oh,
of
yeah.
sliders,
Yeah.
rear
That's fair.
bumper. I don't know. Mine might just be a little bit more worn out too. I just
Well,
did it for Peugeot. I just did it on the ground. I don't have a fancy lift.
well, so you were getting ready, man, and I've talked to the audience here a little bit about this, but man, I was back and forth. I was like, all right, Luke, I'm going to get to come. I'm going to get to come. And then, you know, once my son broke his arm, and of course my mother's issue, I was just like, well, that trip's kind of effed.
Right.
and you're like, don't worry, I'm going anyways. And I was like, well, yeah. But so you took the family, man. Did y'all didn't take the dog though, did you?
No. After,
That was a
well,
quick response.
I found a place. I found a place where he could literally go to a farm and run around.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like, he is going to way prefer this rather than sitting in the Bronco in the desert.
Yeah.
Plus, I started finding more and more articles about how dogs weren't allowed in a lot of the national parks. And it was like, this
Oh.
is, I don't want to have to worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
So he stayed home. And then also, space is a concern. And I don't know, Jenna will probably tell you, I told her on repeat for a month, I was like, we have to pack light. Like, our house in Moab has a laundry, so we're going to do laundry. So pack
Mhm.
like 4 or 5 days worth of clothes. We're going to do laundry the morning before we leave. Like, and she did a great job. Like, it's 4 of us somehow fit in that Bronco. I could still see out of the rear window, and I even bought like a 52-quart fridge
Mm-hmm.
that was in the back, and then I
Wow.
had tools, I had my power tank. Like, we were loaded up, ready for pretty much anything, and the fact that I could still see out of the back window, I was like, this is amazing. I don't know how we did this.
So you had one suitcase is what I'm hearing.
Yep.
We had a suitcase and 2 duffel bags.
Wow.
So how did the kids do in the trip out there? Because how old, your little boy's what, 4?
Yep, so Isaac's 4, Isabel's 2. Isabel is fantastic at just enjoying the surroundings.
Mm-hmm.
She has to tell you about every Bronco she sees, which as a 2-year-old, it's more like a Bronbro is more what it sounds like. But and we're working on getting her not confused between a Jeep and a Bronco. She
Yeah.
definitely calls every Bronco a Bronco, but she also calls a lot of Jeeps Bronco. But
That's just
she's
payback.
2, yeah. Isaac, we end up he picks up an iPad and he's pretty good to go.
Yeah.
She could care less, but she just likes looking out the window. So
Well,
we had
how long was this trip for you guys though?
so we left. It was 8 days. We ended up having to cut it 1 day short, but it was 8 days, 3,500 miles,
Wow.
and then we went from Iowa through Nebraska, Colorado, Utah, dipped into Arizona, came back into Colorado, and then eventually made it back home.
Man, you totally did the Clark Griswold family vacation, didn't you?
It really was, yeah.
So how many miles is it from home to Moab?
I think it's like right at like 1,300 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're like 800-ish to Denver.
Okay. I
So
can't remember
it's
how
a
many
good
miles
day,
it
a
was for
good
us.
day of driving, and you're still not there for you guys.
Yep.
Yeah, we
So,
how was ride comfort? Because I know when I drove up to your place to get the wrap done, man, the ride comfort in these things was great for a long distance. No fatigue at all.
So a quick recap. Our plan was to meet you guys in Moab,
Mhm.
and then we were actually going to do like a long trip and get to Moab as the tail end to meet you there.
Right.
Well, then my full-time job, I got a new position and my schedule changed.
Uh-oh.
So I used to work the beginning of the week and now I work the tail end of the week. And so I flipped my vacation days around and had to reroute my whole trip.
Oops.
So we were going to go to like Rapid City, South Dakota, and then go to Cody, Wyoming, go into Yellowstone, then do like Salt Lake City down to Moab, Utah. Well, then my schedule changed and I rebooked all those hotels and stays, and we were going to come back and do it just the complete opposite. So we were going to go to Denver, then Moab, and then reverse that loop. So had that all planned, and so we took off. We made it to Denver. We met some friends from four-wheeling, had dinner, just kind of hung out around Evergreen, woke up the next morning, and then took off for Moab. And I think we'd just gotten there. And my mother-in-law is the type of person that just worries constantly when we're out of town, especially with grandkids involved now. So if there is a bad thunderstorm within 200 miles of our location, we know about it.
Oh, sounds like my mother.
Sounds like my dad.
I think everybody has that mother or knows that mother. So she sends me a text and I ignore it politely, but I ignore it. And then I look and it was a picture of Yellowstone with just water rushing everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. So I click on it and I read it and I'm like, oh, crap. So I look at a map and I'm like, Jenna, did you see this? And she's like, no. And so she looks at it and our whole trip basically got, well, half of our trip, like we literally couldn't access where we were going to stay.
Oh, that stinks.
Because we were going to stay on the northern edge of Yellowstone. And the road that goes between there and our hotel is non-existent.
Oh.
So last minute, we ended up, very last minute, because I think now we're day 2 in Moab, because they were saying that it might reopen. And realistically, I think it opened 2 days ago, and now I've been back for a week.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
We rearranged our trip, and instead of going up to Yellowstone, we went to Zion National Park in Utah, and then the Grand Canyon. Then we looped back into Colorado, went to Colorado Springs for a few days, and then we came home.
Well, I'm, for one, pretty jealous that you got to experience Moab, because we've been planning, me and you have been talking about this for probably 8 months or so. Once I knew that when my Bronco was coming in, I was like, all right, Luke, let's go to Moab. And you're like, cool, let's go. And here I'm like trying to head the ship here, and then my ship got sunk. But and then we were both even talking about, well, we'll do some fun stuff, but we had our families with us. We won't go too crazy. And then the next thing I see in videos, you're doing Hell's Gate and all. Like I knew Luke was not going to not go to Moab. And
I'll be honest, I knew there was no chance at Luke not trying to pull us into some shenanigans.
Oh yeah,
because for one, I know Jenna knows how to spot like a beast, and so she wasn't not going to have some fun too. So like, I knew we were in trouble.
Well, and that, you guys obviously have wheeled with me and you understand my mentality, and it's very much so, well, let's just try it. Let's just see what happens. And that, like, having 2 kids in the car, especially, that is such a hard thing for me to overcome. And that's not me trying to like sound like a badass or anything, but I've for so many years had this, for lack of better terms, like a shit box that I 4-wheeled with, that in all honesty, if it rolled over, I was going to roll it back over and keep driving, because I didn't care about it. So I have like 2 internal battles. One, I have 2 little kids, so I have to keep them safe, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other, I now drive this $50,000 truck, not a $5,000 truck, and I keep kind of going back and forth where I almost forget that this thing it's valuable and it's worth so much money. So there's that part of me that's like, we should climb that. And then there's that other part of me that's like, my doors are still straight, so should we really climb that?
Yeah, I err on the conservative side much significantly more than I ever do. Go, let's see what the Bronco can do.
Yeah, hell, we're taking the doors off, and both of us are like holding on to the door, like please don't fall, please don't
scratch.
Which we've scratched. It's amazing how quickly you scratch the doors trying to get these damn things off. Like, and couldn't tell you. We were so careful. Couldn't told you how we scratched the door, but we did. And then this one takes your vinyl wrap and to Sonic and somehow puts a big chunk out of the vinyl
It didn't
wrap.
take a big chunk out of it. It was just a little stabby mark.
Little stabby.
Oh, stabby,
Like the
stabby.
murder mysteries you watch, just a little backstabby.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then it's my
Of course,
Bronco
it was
to,
this.
to
Of course, it
repair.
was this stall that most of them are bigger. It was the smaller stall, and I didn't realize it until I put the door out and went to get out.
Is this when you got bucked or whatever?
No,
Oh,
it's when
okay.
I went to when you didn't want to go after one of the softball games,
Mhm.
and I went up there and met up with Player and their family with Sydney. Yeah.
That's why I try to keep the doors off of it now, so she
Oh
can't beat
yeah,
the
that's
doors
why
up.
you try to keep the doors off. Yeah.
But so what was the weather like when you guys were out there?
So going into Moab, I don't remember if I posted it on my lifestyle account or not. We did the traditional thing where you stop and you slap your sticker on the Utah sign.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
I wonder if my
No,
N
I
and P
didn't go to
stickers.
Garden of the Gods, but I have been there before.
I wonder if my N and P stickers are still on that.
I did a quick scan and was looking for like something that I've made
New.
before or
Yeah.
something from a friend, and I didn't see anything, but there's an insane amount of decals there.
I bet.
But like it was so windy trying to stand in front of that sign that Isaac actually blew down a hill at one point. So it was insanely windy getting there.
That's real good
and
for the
to
gas mileage.
Yeah. Oh, my gas mileage went from like 15 to 10 because it
Whoa.
was just a straight headwind trying to get into Moab. And at that point, you're so close, you're like, I don't even care.
Yeah.
I'm just getting there. But it was very, very windy. The next 2 days, though, were like mid 80s and they were pretty perfect.
I'm sorry, I just had to laugh at that one. Like 502 Bourbon Cruise is not going to drive mine. I'm just going to I'm just going to dress like Pitbull and take epic pictures in front of it for the chance.
I feel like there's enough of those people already, though, in the Bronco 6G
Usually they're
groups on
females and have
Facebook.
their butts out.
What was the football
Yeah.
player's wife was dancing and doing twerking all over one, and oh my
Yeah.
god. But so yeah, fuel economy was pretty horrible.
Kind of, yes. It was for the most part around 15 to 16.
Mhm.
A lot of these stretches of the drive were literally 100 miles through the desert where there's nothing. It's just a straight road as long as you can see. And as we were looking out, it was constantly windy. Besides, like, the Tuesday and Wednesday were in Moab, it was constantly windy. So you'd look out on the horizon and just see dust storms.
Right.
So it was usually like 15-ish. We weren't driving the nicest, but that's about what it was for the most part of the trip.
What was kind of your speed? Were you like just cranking it through there?
Well, so it was usually around like 80, 82 because a lot of Utah.
There's your yeah, because what 80 there, right?
In Utah, it's 75 or 80, and then same in Colorado now too. So like
nice.
that's the speed limit.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Right. And then of course every now and then there might be that one guy that's like 80 is not fast enough, so I'm gonna go 88, and so you follow him for a little while.
I drive like a grandpa anymore.
Yes, us road tripping kills me. Like I just have to figure out other things to do than like pay attention to how slow he's going because
75.
I am going 8 miles over the speed limit. Like whatever it is, I'm going 8 over. And this one's going 2 over, and I'm like,
I am not going 2 over. I'm about 5 over if I'm driving.
I have now. The gas bill from this trip was immense, and I refused to total it all up.
Well, till Taxman comes around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like getting back, I have been like, I'm gonna take it easy for a little, like a week or two. And this week I was like taking it pretty easy and trying to stay below like 75, and I've actually been able to keep it right around like 18. So I can achieve. I don't remember who that was. They were just saying they get 18 to 20. I can get there, but it's not as fun to stay there.
Right? It's not, especially when this thing goes.
Right. Right.
It's too fun to go.
No, it's not when it's costing you $5 a gallon.
You
Yeah,
just
but
don't look at your bank account.
Yeah, I look at the bank account all the time, but honestly, I don't drive. Like, working from home, I don't drive enough to make
Right.
a huge difference because I'm not
Right.
filling up twice a week. I'm not, I'm filling up once every 2 weeks unless we go like on a
Let's
huge
be honest,
adventure
you drove
we
like
did
an
this
asshole
weekend.
before before the
No,
pandemic and all that.
I totally did drive
The
like an
Xterra was
asshole.
like 12 miles a gallon with Kelly's.
No, I'm not saying
cruising.
that I didn't, but I'm saying at $5 a gallon, I don't
Yeah,
think about it being
yeah, I get
$5
that.
a
I get you.
gallon because
Yeah,
Well,
I'm not
Jenna,
driving.
yeah,
or
Jenna
constantly.
doesn't either, especially because she has the F-150 with a 36-gallon tank, and she
Oh
just
yeah.
So
the
it's just
first
painful.
yes, the first time it was over 4, she hit 125, and she goes, "I just stopped pumping. I didn't know what to do." And I'm like, I mean, that's fair. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh,
but I
36
mean,
gallons.
even I had a couple fill-ups that were over $100 on the trip, though. Just
Wow.
the north edge of the Grand Canyon, which
Mm.
is not necessarily the side to go to. You go like 80 miles into the park, well, from where the direction we were, and there's one gas station, and it's there, and the cheapest gas was like $5.80 a gallon. And if you
Ooh,
don't fill up there, you have nowhere else
you're
to
in
fill
trouble.
up. So,
Oh.
like, well, we're doing this. So,
I mean, you've committed at that point.
right.
$5.80 a gallon on the north side of the
And
Grand
that
Canyon.
was cheap gas. That was 87 with ethanol in it.
Well, were you running premium when you were on this trip?
For the most part, there was 2 or 3 times where I didn't have a choice. It was 87 or nothing.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
I've since gas has went extremely crazy. I'm down to 87.
Yeah, we're
That's
doing
about where I'm at.
87.
I'm like,
Till we get under $4 again.
yeah, I'm
it's
like, I'm not gonna
happening.
miss those 30 extra horsepower or whatever it's supposed to be.
right.
Hell, I remember us getting when gas was climbing, and it was like $3.49 or something at Costco for regular, and
Mhm.
I was like, "Screw it, we're not getting premium." Like, so I can only imagine. Like,
Well, I remember going to his house, and I remember in Illinois it was $4.80 something like that, and that was when was that, April or something like
Yeah, that
that?
was April.
yeah, and I remember going on Gas Buddy and going, "You need to go to this gas station because it's like 30 cents cheaper than this other one." And he's like, "It's not worth it." I was like, "For 30 cents a gallon, it is. I need you to drive that way."
So obviously this is not a Prius that you took to Moab, but
Right.
so you get into Moab, and this is Jenna's first time, so that had to be fun because, like Kelly said earlier, Jenna's a little off-road beast, so she's a pretty good driver.
And is this her first wheeling since she's had the kiddos? Because I know we've not
they've
seen
done
her.
some road trips.
Much.
We've done some like small local stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, we've gone to a couple things at just like the local parks. So, but I guess she's really only been out in the Bronco one time.
Okay.
So it's more new to the Bronco than anything. And so again, trying to keep in mind that I had kids, I was trying to find like an easy trail for day one at least. And we got there, I think right around 1 on Monday. And we took like that back road.
Along the river.
Yeah.
Oh,
Super
right next to the
pretty.
Colorado River there.
Yeah.
God, it's so pretty through there,
I
man.
can't think of that highway.
I
So
can't
there's
either.
a trail that cuts off of that, and it's called Onion Creek.
Mhm.
Oh.
And all these posts are talking about how amazing it is and how much fun it is, and it's an easy trail. And like I knew that, but we got into it, and it crosses a creek like 20 sometimes, 21 times. Well, a creek in Moab is like, I don't know, 2 inches deep and maybe 2 feet wide. So
Right.
that wasn't really all that exciting. And it does take you kind of into a little bit of a canyon, and you get to see like some tall like spires that are standing up.
Mhm.
And it was like everything in Utah, or Moab at least, is pretty to look at.
Mm-hmm.
But this was no different than just driving on a flat paved road, except it was dirt, but it was flat. There was no need to even put it in 4-wheel drive. And so Jenna is sitting there thinking, I just drove 2 days to get to this.
To see this.
And I was bored. Like at the end, it was literally putting it in Baja mode, and Isaac and Isabel in the back just screaming because I'd hit every creek crossing as fast as I could, and they just thought it was hilarious. And really, I'm just like, I want to be out of here. I'm done. I'm bored out of my mind. Let's go to the house. So we did that. And it, like I said, everybody says it's really pretty. It is, but I don't need to do that trail again.
Ever again.
No, it was not great.
I get that. That reminds me of when you're up on Windrock and you're coming down the G roads, and the G roads are worse than anything.
Right.
And you're just
Right.
ready to be done for the day, and you're like, shit, I got a half hour more of this
Mhm.
crap to get down.
Yeah.
This
And
thing.
then you hope your brakes don't burn all up.
Yeah.
Yep. And that's exactly what it was. It was just that. It was basically the equivalent. It was smoother though.
Yeah.
So it was like when you get to P1 at Windrock and you're like, I'm close, but I'm not quite there.
And then every
But-
turn you go, oh, we're almost there. Damn it, no, we're not.
Yeah.
Oh, we're
Yeah.
almost there. Shit.
So what did y'all? That was coming in, or was that day one?
So that was coming in. I'm calling that day one because we
Okay.
were able to do a trail. So that was more or less a day one. And then so when you said I can't go, I kind of went into a panic a little bit because it was like, I'm going, but what am I going to do where I feel comfortable being solo?
Right.
Right, because
so
rule
I have,
number one is you don't go by yourself. And that's what we
Right.
preach to everybody. You don't go by yourself.
So I have a buddy that the pandemic, he lives in California, and the pandemic hit, and he's a single guy, and he's like, I need a project. There's nothing to do, especially in California. I need a project. I'm going to buy a Nissan Xterra. And so he was constantly sending me like, do you think I should buy this one or whatever? So he buys one, and over the last 2 years, he's been, if restoring an Xterra is a thing, he did it. I mean, he pulled the engine out, the transmission, differentials, everything. And this for 2007 is immaculate. And now it's lifted and front and rear lockers. Well, anyway, I call him and I said, hey, you want to come to Moab? And he's like, when? And I'm like,
Next week.
in a week. He's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, I've got a house and everything. Got your own bedroom. Like,
this bastard hung us out to dry.
This son of a
I'm
bitch
just
had to
like-
have life kick him all in 1 week.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he goes, let me call my boss. And then he calls me back and he's like, my boss said no. I'm like, oh, it's okay. And he's like, damn it, that sounds like a lot of fun. And he goes, give me 2 hours. And he calls me back in 2 hours. He goes, all right, I'm in. And I'm just like, oh, okay. And he goes, I just made my boss feel bad so that he'd let me go. And he's like, when do I need to be there? So, and the fact that we only had the house till Thursday, so he took off Thursday night and made it home, so he still worked Friday.
Oh, nice.
And I guess that was the kicker, that he wasn't gone a whole week, just most of it. But so my buddy Ryan met us there, and he had a pretty, I mean, Xteras are plenty capable, especially out there. So I didn't know. I mean, I'm so used to going out there for an event where you've got 10 plus trucks, lots of varying experience levels, and one trail takes 8, 9, 10 hours. So I didn't know what was achievable, but I downloaded Onyx, and it's just like a trail map app, and it works on CarPlay and everything. And it actually kind of tells you like approximately how much time it should take.
Awesome.
And it tells you how long the trail is and everything. So I started looking at fins and things because that's usually what I would do first when I go out there. I feel like that's a good kind of break you in. This is how you're going to wheel this week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we started at like 9 and we were off that trail at 12:30.
Oh, wow.
And we weren't speeding through it, but just 2 trucks, didn't really have to stop much. And just kind of trucked right through it. So then it was 12:30 and we ate lunch in that little parking lot that they have over there, and then we took off and went up and did Hell's Revenge in that same day.
Oh, nice. So have you done Hell's Revenge before? I couldn't remember if you'd done that before.
So I have only done it once. And that was when it was in 2013 in a barely lifted Nissan Xterra with no lockers or anything.
Right.
Which Hell's Revenge is one of those trails where there's not a whole lot that can change, just because it's all those pure rock mounds or whatever you want to call them. So I've done it once. I've never done Hell's Gate. I've honestly never wanted to do Hell's Gate.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think I had said it to anybody until we were on the trail. And then my buddy goes, "Which way are we going?" Because the other thing with Hell's Revenge is there's lots of different loops you can take, which I now know the one to take. I didn't take it, but next time I know, because the end of it gets kind of long and drawn out. So he's like, "Yeah, do we need to go to Hell's Gate?" And I'm like, "Yep, I'm gonna do it." And he's like, "What?" And Jenna, of course, has no idea.
Yeah, she doesn't know what that is. Yeah.
But I don't know. I've honestly, that was like my thing. I needed to do that, and then I didn't need to do anything else hard for the week. It was just like that one thing for some reason I had to get out of my system. But the other thing is going up to it. I'm like, Kia did it. Like, it's not hard. It's not a big deal. Well, we are pretty certain that Kia was airlifted out of there afterward, because I don't know how the hell that thing drove in or out of that trail. Because it's not by any means the hardest trail, but we ripped the front license plate off just going down one of the descents. And like, I've got pretty good ground clearance, and especially like with our bumper being so high up. So it's like a Kia did it, but that Kia went to the junkyard after it got off of that trail.
Sorry, I'm dealing. Hey guys, I don't care what the political situation is right now. None of that in the chat, please. I do have people who want to be on the show that watch the chat, and it does affect people wanting to come on the show when you go strong. So let's be nice. So I noticed you struggled at the gate just a little bit. Of course, people don't realize, like, you have no line of sight. You can't see anybody really. You're very blind. Probably the front facing camera would have probably done you very well there, right?
It probably would have. So 2 things to approaching this. One, you get there and there's a sign bolted into the rock and it says Hell's Gate entrance. I've never looked at the entrance before.
Yeah.
I looked at the entrance, walked up to it, and I'm like, "Yep, that's Hell's Gate." And I'm like, "Why does it say entrance though?" And so then I'm looking around and I don't see anything else. And I'm thinking, maybe you have to go down it and then you turn around and come back up it. And I'm like, I've never heard anybody say this though. But it was so steep going down, and it's also like the V-notch. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, I don't know where I am.
Right.
So I start walking around, and then I actually find Hell's Gate. I'm like, I have to drive down that to get to Hell's Gate? And it's just Jenna, a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and my buddy Ryan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they need to go over to the end to like get ready for me. They can't spot me down it too. There was no way you were walking down the entrance, at least not easily. So I have a drone video of me going down it, and I'm on 3 wheels most of the way down.
Oh, no, thank
Like,
you.
the back end is just teetering as I creep into it. And I mean, you know the Moab tire screech.
Mhm.
It's the weirdest sound when you're used. Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
It's the
doing that
scariest
going
thing too.
right. And I'm doing that going downhill because the hill, like, it's me trying to control my brakes enough that I'm not flying down it. And I got to the bottom and I'm white knuckled. I'm shaking a little bit and I'm like, what did I just do? Because you have to go up. You have no other choice. You made it down that. You're screwed, buddy, because now you got to go up the tough part.
Yeah.
So I took a second and I turned my drone and aimed it at actually Hell's Gate. And I yelled up. And Jenna was trying to spot me up and she got me most of the way. And she just got a little flustered with both of the kids yelling at her.
Oh, bless.
Yelling at her / yelling at me. And
Yeah.
so Ryan just kind of goes, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos of this. And he goes, I know the line. But he started getting nervous because I got so close to the wall.
Yeah.
And he
yeah.
didn't
I saw
want to be
that,
the
your
right.
video. Like I saw that and I was like, damn, I can't believe Luke's
Yeah,
going
because
that high up the wall.
Right, because I see where Jenna starts you and she gets
Yep.
you to that point, and I can hear the kids in the background like,
Yep.
Daddy, da, 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 da. And I was like, man, like, she's a better woman than me, because I'd have been like, can somebody wrangle my kids right now, because I can't even
Yeah.
focus. I can't
Yeah.
hear and look at you and everything, like, and be
Well,
mom
and
all at the same time.
Ryan was holding Isabel because you can hear her in part of the video too, because he's holding the GoPro and you can hear him hand her off
Yes.
to Jenna.
Yeah.
But they both just got so worried that I was gonna hit my door or something
Yeah.
on the side, and that was all the direction I gave was I need to ride the notch all the way up. Well, part of me didn't realize that the notch started so low,
Mm-hmm.
so I just kind of took off. And like Dave said earlier, you don't see the trail. You're looking at blue skies and you're hoping the person spotting you can yell loud enough for you to hear them.
Right. Yeah. Well, because I could see in the truck, the angle you were at, there's no way you were seeing too much of what was going on. And then
No.
when you got a little closer, I could hear you saying, hey, I can't hear a word y'all are saying.
Yeah, I heard that too.
And, like, YouTube Car Spotters Guide, thank you for that 567, man.
Thank you.
You guys know I like the crazy weird numbers when y'all do that. I appreciate that. So you did that trail, little butt pucker there, I'm sure. Just it's not outrageous, but it is. You got to be careful there.
Yeah, you have good traction. So that's not an issue as long as you have decent tires. And it's just really making sure you're on that right line. And like my buddy Ryan, for not knowing how a Bronco wheels, he did a good job of at the top when I went to the point where I was three-wheeling, he didn't freak out. He was able to see the trail enough to know, no, he's good, he's got to keep going. So yeah, it's really just being gutsy enough to try it, I think, more than anything.
Right. So somebody's asking, I replaced the speakers in the Bronco this past weekend. Michael, I'm gonna link you to Luke's channel over there. He did, I believe you did a complete showed your install, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
I just to install the 4 inches.
Yeah. So there's definitely a link on that.
Yeah, we just did. They'd been sitting so long, there was no reason for us to do an install video.
I literally had speakers under my desk here, and I forgot I had all this stuff. I was bored the other day. I was like, shit, I got stuff I got to put on this stupid truck.
He went out and literally, like, we got a new AC unit this summer or last summer, and it's been so stupid hot here that feels like 110 most of the week for the last like 2.5, 3 weeks. And the house has not gotten any cooler than 77 during the day. And I'm like, I'm in the house like sweating, and he's outside actually working. And I'm like, nope, not happening. You go outside for a second so that it feels like air conditioning when you come into the house, but that's the extent of what you do.
Right. Okay. John Burnett has been a member for 3 months now.
Congratulations.
Appreciate that. And guys, I will do my little sales pitch once. Membership on the channel. It's like $5 a month or something like that. Literally, I get like $3 of it. YouTube takes a chunk of it, and it just helps basically pay some internet bills and stuff like that. So we greatly appreciate that. And thank you, John, for that.
And you get a lanyard after 2 months, and then 6 months, we're figuring out what we're doing for the 6-month mark.
And we just sent a bunch of lanyards out.
We did. And if you have not filled out the form in the members area, the Google form with your shipping address and stuff, please do. I know we had several do it last week. I've had several do it in the past, but if I don't have your address, I can't send your goodies.
Right. And let's do this.
Just to touch on something quick in the chat. So a lot of people are talking about GMRS. So you messaged me a few weeks before and you're like, hey, do you have a GMRS? I'm like, no, I have ham and CB. You're like, well, I only have GMRS. So then I went through that wormhole and ended up buying one.
What did you go with?
The Midland 275, I think.
Okay,
I think it's the same one you have. No,
I'm a 115, I think.
Mine's all handheld.
Okay.
Everything is in the, like, there's a box you mount, but then it's all controlled in the like walkie part.
Oh, so it's like our my CB that I used to have. The Midland CB I had all in hand.
Exactly like that.
Yeah.
So I didn't completely, like, I understand what it is, but I kind of didn't get the draw to it. So then I called my buddy Ryan and I said, hey, what do you have for communication on the trail? And he goes, I have GMRS. And I'm like, well, shit, that means I have to buy it. Like, I thought now that Dave wasn't coming, I didn't need to spend the money, but then that's all he had. So I installed it and it was pretty simple to install. I mean, really, it's 2 wires, and like my kit had a little antenna and everything. And it is fantastic for the trail. Like you were telling me, it's very clear. But so the third day I was there, I did 7-mile rim, and I heard people talking on, no, I found a bypass for the part you just shook your head
the
out.
horseshoe?
Thank God.
Yes.
The horseshoe's so overrated, man. Sorry.
We were on that trail, and that trail you are very much so in the middle of nowhere for a long time.
The end of it's what desert running.
Yep. I hear these Jeepers talking about, we just hit 70. And I'm like, what? Like Interstate 70? And I'm like, okay. And then they keep talking. They're like, yep, just got on the exit. And they were a big group going somewhere. And I'm like, how do I have this much range out of this little radio? Because the antenna is like a tiny little wire that's like 4 inches tall. So they're fantastic.
Yeah. No,
so it's well worth the membership and installing one.
Yeah. Was it 50 or $60 for a couple years or something? Or I think they just
35 for 10.
Yeah, they just changed the price. I remember. No, it's the best. It's almost like having ham, but it's kind of like having the ease of CB, and it's like they mix the two. And yeah, no, it's the way to go, definitely. So 7-mile rim. So I'd seen you dropped on your TikTok that you had dropped some. You were cruising through some desert running. That's the one thing I really haven't got to experience with the Bronco is taking it at some speed through some bumps and stuff. How did it handle?
So it is, I don't think anybody in my family would disagree with that was the most fun part. Especially because like it's the sand and it's like the whoops, so you're really going up and down. But they're spaced kind of far apart. So I mean, I literally twisted that. I don't use any of the goat modes. I am, I guess you could say, kind of old school. I put it in 4 low. I flip on my lockers when you need them, and that's it. Just cruise, take it nice and easy. I've messed with the goat modes. I don't find a use for any of them. I don't even really think sport mode is all that much that people crack it up to be.
Right.
But Baja Mode is, I don't remember now if it sets you to 4 high or 4 automatic. But it holds you basically in boost. So it keeps your RPMs up. So if you let off the throttle, it doesn't give you that instant deceleration.
Okay.
It's very smooth, but it keeps you in a higher RPM. So it's just literally about go, go, go. So we hit our first sand stretch where you could see it go straight for a little while, and you kind of look and you're like, I think that's smooth. So you put it in Baja mode and you just hit it.
I think we did that when we went with your dad on that one trail one time because he took off on a sand trail. It might be that same trail. I don't remember, but he was like blowing, and I swore your dad was going so fast, and we hit a couple of those bumps that I swear he was going to blow his airbags like as fast as your dad was going. And I was like,
realistically, that would be something that would happen to him.
I know that's why I thought it might happen. And I was, of course, in the passenger seat of your dad. That was the same day we did Baby Lion's back, and I cussed him up and down, up and down.
YouTube car starters, guys. I have done some desert sand stuff. I just haven't done it in the Bronco yet. I haven't been able to take the Bronco out to do that stuff.
Well, so we do this first little straightaway, and then it went back into like some little rock ledges. But the one thing I did is we had the top down, so I had to go find my little Velcro straps because the top was just sitting there bouncing. Yes. So I found those and got ready for the next section. But we could cruise. It's hard to see because obviously I didn't have a ton of extra people. I couldn't leave somebody to like film a side-by-side thing. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a few times where the front wheels go off the ground in that little TikTok clip.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was going like 40, 45, just flying down the sand, and it was just awesome. You don't feel like the suspension can just handle it. It's not like you're aggressively hitting the bump stops. It's just super freaking fun. I'm sure someday I'll put like full coilovers on, but these just handle so well that it's like I don't know why I would spend the money on it right now.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
go ahead. I was just gonna say, I'll be honest. We took a couple of country drives this weekend, and he went pretty fast over one round of railroad tracks.
Yeah, I tried to jump a railroad track.
Tried to jump them, and it just wouldn't do it. It just was like so smooth that it just went over, and it was like we were like, damn. That's pretty awesome.
It makes me really curious about driving one of the wild tracks with the 3.0 system.
Yes.
Because I'm like, they improved something, but I don't really have any complaints about what I've got. So it's like, how much better is that?
I know. That's and me and Kelly's talked a couple times. We went to Chattanooga to Princess Cooper, and which is now a joke, dude. That place is that is a boring dirt road.
Yeah,
they've wiped it all down.
We didn't even put 4-wheel drive on.
No, we used the locker once, which I love the fact that Ford allows you to use the rear locker without having to put it in 4-wheel drive. I love that feature. Yeah. But Kelly there was something we were in, like she said, we were in 2-wheel drive the whole time. There was something that was,
we just come through a creek crossing.
Well, and she's learning the vehicle a little bit, because they all react just completely different. A Bronco is completely different than the Xterra that she had. And I said, just put the locker in. She's like, what do you mean? And I was like, just, I pushed the button and it went right up it. And I was like, we paid for these things, man.
I was like, damn it. I didn't want to put on the easy button yet. I was still working it.
It was stuck. It was only 2-wheel drive still.
Yeah.
Still.
But that was we're going to Windrock really, really soon. I can tell you that, man, because I'm tired of like
he got a little bit of the itch, and now.
Well, no, so we're trying to do the Nemo Tunnel, and there's rumors out there trying to close that.
And there's rumors that it's already closed.
And no, there's something come out today from the town that said those are Facebook rumors.
Good.
But so I'm trying to get Jim and everybody to get over that way, and I'm at least doing 22 or something while I'm over there, man. I'm doing a trail and getting to experience this thing, and because I like you getting to be out there, like it just freaking killed me, man. Trust me. I was like, and we talked in the car one day. It was Monday or whatever. We're like, well, right now we'd be in Moab.
Yeah,
we're not.
Yeah.
So what was kind of the highlight of the trip, and what was kind of like, either it was just the Bronco made it too easy, or what?
So the highlight of Moab, or you want me to talk about the whole trip?
The whole trip.
Your trip of your in your Bronco.
I guess the highlight of Moab would definitely just be Hell's Gate, but then also just having my family experience it and like understand like Jenna very clearly understood, like, this wheeling isn't necessarily difficult, but like the scenery is just unmatched.
How does she like being on Mars?
Yeah, I mean, well, she said something kind of interesting because she goes, "It's ugly and very beautiful at the same time." And I'm
Yes.
like, "What do you mean?" And she's like, "It's just kind of weird because you look out and it's like you see things, but it's kind of nothing because you don't see cars, people, houses. You don't see anything, and like you appreciate the landscape, but it's just kind of surreal that you can be kind of that close to town, but really feel like you're in the absolute middle of nowhere at the same time."
Right.
Because she, like, after we left, especially, everybody was very much so like, "Yeah, we need to go back there again." So
Next
just
year.
knowing,
Next year.
well, and even like we went to Moab Diner and you sit down and the table is a bunch of Jeeps. Like that's
Yeah.
what is on the table. And like Isaac is just looking at the table like this is the coolest restaurant I've ever been to. I get pancakes. I'm eating on top of a Jeep and a Bronco. Like and it is like I don't care if you've wheeled in Utah before and you've never been to Moab, like you need to go one time.
Yeah.
Because they're like, especially this trip, because we went. I've really only not seen the northern edge of Utah, and I do want to do that. I want to see like the Salt Flats. Um, I just saw something about a park that's up there. I just want to explore it because Utah is just kind of a ridiculous place.
It's
And
the perfect state, man. It's got everything you would ever want as an outdoor person.
like the more and more we drove through it, because Zion is in the bottom corner. So we went kind of from the top right to the bottom left, so to speak. And like there was parts where we're driving down the highway and there's just trails next to you through the whole freaking state. So when I was doing like in Moab, I was at 14 psi. My tires were nice and squishy. If you put it in Baja mode and went over something too fast, it absorbed all the roughness. Well, then I went up to like 40 psi to go down the highway, and we were just kind of going down this road and it was long and boring. And I see a trail, and so I cut off the road and we bombed down a trail. But then I got yelled at because at 40 psi it wasn't very comfortable. But Jenna just looks, she goes, "Is this enjoyable? Because it's not enjoyable to me." And I'm like, okay, I'm getting back on the highway now. But like I was just kind of in awe the whole time, driving around and going, "There's a trail. There's a trail. Where's that go to? Where's this go to?" And he was like, "You could go to pretty much any given town, drive 5 minutes out of town, and there's a trail. And it'll take you somewhere, and it is public land. You can legally drive on it." And I'm just like, this is insane. Everywhere had that. And like any park you went to, like Zion was like, "Oh, if you want to go four-wheeling, go take this trail." Um, so that just kind of seeing all these new places and going, okay, I'm going to come back to Utah, but next time we're going to do this, this, and this instead, kind of thing.
Yeah. How was it not being in a big event? Because both times that I've been out there, it's always been going to a big event. I guess the 3 times I've been out there. Every time you go for the same event. So it had to be nice to just relax doing your own thing at your own
Yeah.
pace.
Like it was, so we would get off the trail, go out to eat, go back to the house and just sit and relax. And it was like, if I was at Gone Moab, I'd be running around from condo to condo and we'd be fixing 10 trucks and I'd be socializing. And that's fun. Don't get me wrong. But at the same time, it was super nice to just like kick back on a couch and relax and not have 10 people calling you going, "Where are you at? Do you have a 10 millimeter? Do you have a impact?" Like, because I'm also that person that will help you and I have every tool you needed. So like it was almost like you got off the trails at an event and you're the on-call guy.
Yeah.
Like, "Hey, I need your help." And so it made it more of a vacation. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
So I would be all for going with like a group of like 6 to 8 like close friends. My drive to go to another big event out there is pretty small.
Yeah.
Because this was just so much more of a vacation and so much easier to like enjoy everything versus going to a big event.
Yeah, it's kind of like the one year that we went out and the time that your dad was flying through the sand is like we just did our own thing that day with just the people we wanted to wheel with. And it was like such a different experience of being at the event than going, okay, we're waiting on 3 trucks ahead to do their thing.
Right.
And then we go and,
Or
just
you
being
have
able
to
to do it at your own pace,
and you have to, or you, especially
be somewhere at a certain time.
No,
and-
but then you have to put on a smiley face because I'm
Yep.
usually out there as a press of some
That's
sort,
true.
and
That's
that's
true.
exhausting at some point. And sometimes, I've taken some grief on here. People are like, "Oh, why aren't you guys going to this event or whatever the event they had out there right after Easter Jeep?" And I'm like, "Look, man, I've done 11 years of those events.
Right.
I kind of just when I want to go out, I want to go out and just do my own thing with the people I choose."
Yep.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you bring up a good point because the burnout on events for us 3 sitting here is much different. I mean, events like that are great for meeting people,
Mhm.
learning how to wheel, seeing new places, and you can't beat that. But like for me, it was just I'm gonna wake up when we wake up. We're in no hurry to get anywhere. If we don't get done eating breakfast until 10 a.m., so be it. We're gonna
Mhm.
still go do a trail. We're gonna take all day to do it. Take our
Mhm.
time. If we want to stop for lunch at 11, we can. We don't have to wait for other people. And the big thing is we don't have to worry about who else is with us that had a skeptical vehicle entering trail, and we're now
Yep.
going to spend 4 hours fixing it.
Right. And
So
speaking of that, how did you feel the Bronc Busters did okay for you?
definitely. And his new, I don't like
The end cap, whatever that is.
yeah, I don't know the name for it. He calls it like a stage 3 steering box. So I feel like part of the trick to why I have been able to do some things in my Bronco and not um, have a big casualty is because I've left my stock sway bar on.
Mm-hmm.
And so that limits a lot of stuff. But there were a couple points where I was using my front locker and my steering actually kind of was binding. And that is apparently what his newest product fixes, which I have it. I got it. I told Tyler, I was like, I want to order this, but I'm going to Moab. Can I get it before the trip? And his response it was just kind of like, I will try, but he didn't even actually have the aluminum yet to make them.
Oh wow.
So I messaged him and he's like, sorry, I haven't been back to you. Had to run home. He had to like do an emergency thing. And he goes, oh, by the way, here's your tracking. I'm like, oh, okay. And I think we left on Sunday, and I think like Thursday it was at my door. So I'm
Oh
like,
wow.
oh, okay. So I didn't have time to install it. I still haven't had time to install it, but it was at least nice to know that was now the weak point in my steering. No, not the bushing. So I have the bushing because he actually, yeah, that thing in the middle.
Holy
What does he
bejesus,
call
that's
it?
expensive.
Well, it's all milled.
Yeah,
It's all
we
milled.
don't talk about that.
Yeah. He said he's got more money in his front end of his Bronco now than he had in his Xterra.
Yeah,
Billet aluminum housing.
yes. So basically, that other bushing takes care of the slack that happens on the driver's side. This now takes care of the slack that happens on the passenger side. So it's
Hey,
probably going.
You know what else is $1,200? A new
What?
rack.
Oh,
I'm
is it?
just
I thought it
saying.
was more than that.
No, I think they're about $1,400. Anyways,
But can you even get them?
can I?
Can anybody?
Or can the average person?
The average person.
I don't
I
know.
have been waiting on axles since February, so I'm not holding my breath on getting Bronco parts.
We'll talk
But
afterwards.
okay, so I I have that, and hopefully it'll be a few weeks. I'm interested to pull it apart and see if I'm finding the metal shavings like he's showing on his videos.
Right.
Because I mean, 2-inch lift and 35s. My truck is not crazy. My truck is trying to be the compromise. It's the daily driver that also can go do some pretty difficult trails at the same time, but I still need to get back to work on the weekdays.
What do you think, Kelly? By next year, it's not his daily driver anymore, and he's towing it everywhere.
I'm gonna have to sell a hell of a lot of bumpers or something.
I think it depends on how this new job goes.
Yeah. But the one thing to go with that though is, and I mean, there's no reason to talk much about it, but I was so burnt out on towing my Xterra. It is, I mean, you towed yours. Towing a truck takes a lot of the fun out of it for me.
Yeah.
Because now all of a sudden you essentially have like 3 vehicles everywhere you go. You got a tow truck, your off-road truck, and then you got a big ass trailer, and it's a lot of things to be responsible for. And it's like, this is taking enjoyment out of it. Yeah. So that was a lot of the appeal to the Bronco was,
I don't know that one tow rig you had the one time when you were working for that other guy. That was a pretty nice tow rig.
But so that was nice. So it was I don't even know, 2016, 17 3500 diesel dually Chevy, 8-inch lift, 37s, airbags on the back, and then I had a 25, I think it was a 25 or 30-foot enclosed trailer that I could use for whatever and
sleep
tow. Yeah. I mean, there was times where I had my Xterra in there and an air mattress was in front of it, and it was essentially my camper.
Yeah.
But I mean, that was also exhausting because that wasn't mine. That was $100,000 worth of stuff I was towing a crappy truck around in. But then, like, to get gas, I was next to all the semis trying to get gas. I mean, diesel, because it was such a big rig that you couldn't fit hardly anywhere. And there's a couple times where I thought I was going to be stuck in a hotel parking lot because you'd get yourself into a situation and all of a sudden, no, the parking lot doesn't wrap around the building.
Oh,
so
no.
Now you got to figure out how to back up in that thing.
Right.
And it, for me, that was a lot of the Bronco coming out, and it's like, okay, 35s lockers, I can do a lot with that, and I can still drive back and forth to work and take my kids to school and all that good stuff.
Right. Hey guys, I got 60 plus in the stream here at times and only 38 likes. If you guys would smash that like button for me, I greatly appreciate that. And Broken Lizard 03 says, I'm hoping to get my Bronco by the Detroit Auto Show or even the Woodward Dream Cruise. Hopefully, man. The cruise was a lot of fun. We saw a handful of Broncos last year. I'm trying to get up there. Depending on when I get access to a Raptor.
Well, and this one might drive up ahead and I might have to fly up. Yeah. Because, work.
Oh, I have to commute your Bronco now up to Detroit for you so you can bougie fly up.
I'll drive back with you on Sunday.
Oh, thanks. Hopefully you won't
I'll fly up on Friday.
Pain in the ass to ride in like the Jeep was.
Oh, we know it won't because we've already driven this to Florida and it didn't hurt our butts.
Oh, no, I know. Just playing. So you did feel pretty secure with the Bronc Buster. I was talking to Mountains to Metal the other day, and they're going to be on the live stream the next couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But they were talking. He was talking to me. He was over at Uri and Uri, whatever, however the hell you say it, North Carolina. And they used they had a broken tie rod, so they used the Bronc Buster. They pulled, I guess, one off of his and band-aided the broke tie rods together enough to get it on the trail, get it off the trail.
I heard
that's awesome.
Too.
Yeah. So I mean, for that.
I could see that working though.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't go in Baja mode, but speaking of Baja mode, your son was great in one of the videos that I heard him in the background saying Baja or something.
Yeah, that was on Hell's Revenge. He was explaining how the desert works, which I honestly think So a lot of times, like, I'll be sitting there and just like throw up a quick video, and sometimes I don't necessarily even have the audio on, and that
Mhm.
was a TikTok too. So I tried to put a song on it, and it didn't for some reason. And so then I think you actually commented about little man said something. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
And you didn't
Like,
even know
how'd
it.
you even hear that? And then I watched my own video. I'm like, oh, I don't have a song on this one. But then, yeah, he's going off about something, how the desert works.
Yeah.
So
You better watch it if Jenna's in the video somewhere in the back, because I know she does some colory words like I do sometimes on the trails.
Yeah.
Well, did Jenna get to drive?
Yeah, she drove most of Finn's, at least half of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she did some of Hell's too. I can't think of, I want to say it's Frenchie's Finn. Like it's a pretty steep climb on fins and things. She did that. I mean, I made her do some obstacles. So she got some seat time.
Nice.
How'd she feel it compared to your beast that you could beat the shit out of?
So
I know
her
we're
big
comparing
thing,
apples and oranges, but like
right.
how she
So
feels.
her big thing is she's just not used to the amount of power that it has.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times she like heavy foots it and we take off and I'm just like, hold on. Especially in 4 low, because like it just has so much instant torque. So it can get interesting sometimes riding with her. Because it like takes her a couple times of stabbing the gas pedal before she's like, okay, I barely need to touch this thing and the truck's
Yeah,
in
like getting the
motion.
feather, figuring out the
Yeah.
feather part.
Yeah. But I mean, she definitely likes it. And like what you guys are saying, it's so much more comfortable to sit in to road trip. Like, well, and then the other day, even we finally were able to drag our boat out of the garage. And she goes, yeah, do you just want to hook it up to my truck? I go, no, we're hooking it up to my truck because I have a hitch and I am towing it with the Bronco. So, and even then, like towing my boat, which isn't insanely heavy, like just the fact that it can do it. And I'm like, okay, I know this thing can't tow 5,000 pounds, which when you put a little bit of weight on the back of these, you're like, okay,
Feel it.
coilovers in the back, linked suspension. That's why you can't tow 5,000 pounds. And it didn't ride bad by any means, but like the suspension dropped down a little bit. And it just isn't made for an insanely heavy load.
Yeah, I can see that. We've got a couple folks in the chat saying that their vehicles are hopefully they got build weeks. Let me see. Jason Boyd said, hey guys, my delivery date is July 20th to July 26th. So everyone pray for me, please.
Nice.
Mobile Moto says his is 8 to 14 for his. Maybe, probably not, he says.
Oh, always the optimist.
Justin Zimmerman in the chat said the Buster Brace fix was him.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Okay.
Which I did see pictures of him on there. So, and he has a Lifestyle Off-Road rear bumper that's headed over to him and
nice.
any day now, really.
Can't wait to see the pictures.
Yeah. So this was, I'm going through your Instagram right now. This was the entrance to the gate, right?
So that's going up it.
Yeah.
I don't think the actual entrance, I'll have to get the video off my drone and put it up there.
But this is the crawl everybody wants to do, right? That you always see.
Yep. So that's me at the very bottom, just looking up, so to speak.
Yeah, and from the drone shot that you had that I've seen, you're like, well, that doesn't look too bad. But then when you see it from the ground, you're like, okay, there's a little bit of a climb, and it's all V-notch. You can see where somebody's standing there. I don't know if that's Jenna or somebody, but you can see where they're standing, and you have to ride that.
Jenna down there.
Yeah, you have to ride the V.
Tire marks on it.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's 7 Mile Rim. I know that sign.
Yeah, that is my least favorite ever.
Where were we at here, Luke?
That's 7 Mile Rim also.
Okay. Which is a fun. That is an easy trail. It's got a couple little climbs if you want to, and
what I'm finding. So when we were there, we were eating at Zach's actually, and they had leftover Easter Jeep Safari magazines, and the Easter Jeep magazine gives you like awesome details about each trail. And it also has like alternative routes to a lot of the trails.
Mm-hmm.
So like when we did 7 Mile Rim, we did not do the horseshoe
Oh, okay.
because there's actually like a cutaway. So we went down Wipeout Hill, and then you can take that backwards out.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah. So that's what
I
Nestor
did.
was busy doing while I was in Moab.
I did tell him before, or when we were still planning on going out there, I said, I'm just going to tell you right now, we are not going up or down Wipeout Hill. It's not happening.
Well, so I get every page you read has a different rating for every one of these trails. And so Dave was like, I don't remember Metal Masher being bad. Maybe we should do that. And I'm like, I don't either. Like,
Well,
that
there's a
sounds
couple
like
climbs.
a possibility.
There was a
Right.
couple. Yeah. Go ahead.
But now there's a couple things that are rating it like an 8 out of 10. And I'm like,
dang,
I don't remember it being that hard, but I'm like, maybe I'm forgetting something. So
there's
we
a reason
didn't
it's
do
called
that.
Metal
There was a couple.
Masher.
Well, there was a couple
Yeah.
staircases, but they weren't ridiculous. I mean, they were very challenging, but I wouldn't be like, oh my god, that's too ridiculous.
Well, and I was talking to I don't remember if it was Jamie or Corey, old Ronin Nissan guys,
Yeah.
in Colorado, and they're like, there's nothing that the Bronco can't do in Moab. It all comes down to if you are willing to have a little bit of body damage or not, and that's kind of it. Because they've done, I mean, a lot of the hard stuff. And even like the last time I was there, like it was Moab Rim and Pritchett Canyon and the Pickle and like doing a bunch of the stuff in Area BFE, which are all rated like some of the hardest trails you can do. And I was able to do them in a 180 horsepower Nissan. So, but it was just going back to that. I didn't care about that truck, and I care about this truck. So where do I draw the line in the sand, kind of thing?
Oh yeah, definitely. Sorry, I had somebody text me. Yeah, no, I'm pretty comfortable. There's stuff out there that I have, like the lines back, the actual lines back. I don't know that I ever had a desire to want to go down that damn hill. Like,
no, and we stopped to look at it because that's all private property now.
Yep.
And
oh, is it really?
Oh yeah, not
Yep.
the babies that you've done, the
Wow.
actual lines back.
But I'm pretty sure that was just an up and back thing too.
It was.
I don't think so. I'm like, that doesn't. The hardest trail out there. So the Pickle is a lot of fun, and I don't think a lot of people talk about it. But it has a big notch that you have to climb up and out of that is pretty sketchy. But that trail is a blast, and you like basically crawl into a little canyon to get in and out of it.
Right.
So that one I would like to do again someday. And really, if I would have had my Lifestyle Off-Road sliders, I'd feel better about it. But I just have the stock ones right now, and those are just so close to the body. But Moab Rim is like my must-do trail. And that one, I think I need another spare part or two, and probably 3 pretty capable rigs to feel more comfortable doing that one.
Yeah. Well, did you do Silver Crack when you were on 7 Mile? Because I believe that's on there, right?
Yep. Yeah, and honestly, I remember it being bigger when I was in a smaller truck, because now it was like, I don't even feel like I need to take a picture of this.
Oh yeah.
I don't think I lifted a tire or anything.
Yeah.
And that, I don't know, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, hey Ryan, that was Silver Crack. He's like, oh. I'm like, yeah, I kind of thought it was bigger too.
Yeah, 33s make all the difference for that little thing.
Yeah, I don't know if I ever saw Golden Crack, but
no,
I remember
you haven't seen Golden Crack.
But I remember Silver Crack, and I was kind of like, well, that's kind of daunting.
Well, that's where you got hit in the head with the rock. When I was in Corey's little Toyota, and I was giving her hell getting through there, and all of a sudden you hear your video in it.
I remember that now.
Yeah,
I think that was. Oh, I remember. I remember on 7 Mile Rim watching Kara Erickson like somebody needed their vehicle
No,
moved up or
it was
something.
Corey's truck because I was spotting
Oh,
people up
it was
something.
Corey's because it was a stick shift.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't comfortable with wheeling in a stick shift.
Yeah.
And Dave needed it moved up. And I was like, I can't do it. And here comes Kara. She's like, I got it. And she gets in there and I'm like, this chick's a badass. Like, not that I hadn't seen Jenna be a badass, but like to go
Right.
to a completely different event and see this chick that's like a total badass, confident as hell, getting in there and just going, I got it. It's fine. Just like, I was like, dang. That was my first impression of Kara because I never really talked much to her before that.
Right.
Yeah, no, there's so much fun stuff out there, man. Kind of swinging a little bit, and I had it up. I'll bring us back up. How's the bumper company doing, man?
Not bad, but I had some interesting conversations. Things are slowing down, so if you want to make an order, it'll get done a lot faster right now. There has been, I mean, obviously not to talk politics, but there's a lot of stuff going on. We'll just
Sure.
leave it at that.
Sure.
And with the rise in gas prices and everything, there has been kind of a halt in everything. As far as automotive sales, as far as automotive aftermarket, I've talked to several different companies and everybody's like, have you been dead for like 2 weeks? And it's like, uh-huh. It's like, okay, good. We have too. And then you talk to the next guy and they're like, yeah, what's going on? So realistically, it's been while I've been gone, so it's been okay. And it's like all of a sudden the world stopped and nobody's cared about their truck for a few weeks. And things already have started to turn around, but it was just kind of talking to several different people. They're like, what's happening? Where did my customers go?
Yeah, no, we're definitely in a little recession right now. But it looks like you're cranking out some bumpers there. I see one front and back each, lots of skids. And the
Yep.
skids, I don't think we've talked since last time. You've got the full set of skids besides the gas tank out now, right?
Yep. And actually, I think Mark King was in here. One of these full sets of skid plates, front and rear, those are his. And he's going to go down and pick them up. And then Nestor's going to take basically the final measurements and sketches of his truck. And he might actually start on another truck with another Bronco going in there. So that we do have the gas tank skid. So at the time when we came out with the front diff, the transmission and transfer case, like I have a black diamond, so I had like the front skid plate. The only thing I was really missing was the transmission. And the factory gas tank skid is pretty decent. It's 2 pieces of 1/8-inch steel welded together. And we couldn't see a need to improve it. It just works. So we just left it alone. Well, then all of a sudden, all these base and wild track guys came out and they're like, I don't have anything. And we're going, oh, okay, we need to make one of those. So we will be coming out with that. I can't say who, but we just sponsored a truck today for SEMA that'll get a new set of our sliders. And then they're going to have front and rear bumpers as well. So that's pretty exciting news.
Oh, nice.
I don't know that I will be there, but we will have a truck representing
we'll
us
be there
at least.
Yeah, I'll be there. I'll be your representative. How about that?
Sounds good. I'll send you a few t-shirts.
Nice. Well, that's I'm gonna have to talk to you about that. That's interesting. But no, dude, the photo like that you have of your skids on your truck is a great photo. Guys in chat, obviously me and Luke are friends, but I put my name behind this stuff because we have it on our front. I was gonna order a rear, and like Luke said, well, all of a sudden the economy is like kind of screwing with me a little bit. So I'm like, well, maybe I'll hold on to that money. And I had some funds already allocated to some parts. And speaking of parts, man, where are you at with your exhaust system? We really haven't talked much. Where are you at with the factory setup, and what do you think needs to happen?
So a local guy that I've done some work to his truck, he told me he was getting an exhaust. I have a really good friend that owns an exhaust shop, and I've talked to him. I was talking. Oh, and I bought a spare set of tie rods off a guy, and he had I think he said an AFE something exhaust.
AWE? This one?
No,
Or is he
his was
running dual?
AFE. What the heck is that?
This is AWE. Yeah, we'll do it right. Thanks, Kelly.
You're welcome. That's why I'm the producer.
So this is their off-road setup. So they have one with the big tip and all that crap, but
That's what she said.
I'm not really interested. Well, she just said the tip, just the tip.
Sorry.
But so I picked this up for the Bronco, and these guys are freaking amazing to deal with, man. Like I finalized or whatever, ordered it last Monday maybe, and they were like, "Hey, we just want to let you know that there's we build these per order." And I was like, "Oh, whatever, man. I'm not." And
Yeah.
I've talked to these guys since probably February, and I was like, whenever it gets here, I don't care, man. And it showed up Sunday.
Yeah, actually, funny thing was the FedEx guy. He comes up and he goes, I said, "Oh, is that for us?" He says, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, you can just leave it right here." He says, "Do you mind if I ask, is that an exhaust?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Do you mind if I ask what vehicle it's going on?" Because he's standing in our driveway with a
Right.
What is Corbin's car again? I forget.
Sentra.
A
Oh, the
Sentra.
Sentra.
And the Gladiator. And then of course we've got the Bronco. So he's looking like, what the hell are you putting this thing on? And we were like, "Oh, it's going on the Bronco." And he just kind of looked at you like, "Oh, okay. All right."
Yeah. So I wanted to go with these guys though, because they have this beefed up tip. They have an off-road version that tucks right up under the bumper.
So I think that might not be the best angle. Like, how close is it actually? You'll just have to. I'll watch your videos of how close it is to the exhaust, or
What do you
not
mean?
the exhaust. Sorry, the hitch.
Not at all. It's over here.
Yeah, from that angle, it looked
See,
like it was in the
That
center.
angle looked like it was coming
Yeah, I
out
know.
the center, and I'm like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
how the heck is that gonna work?
No, so you can barely see it right under the license plate.
Okay, that's much
And that was
better.
one reason, because I've beat the piss out of mufflers and stuff in the back and exhaust
Right.
tips, and so I was really excited to deal with this one.
So I've gone back and forth on what I want to do, if anything. And right now I probably won't do anything. What I'm deathly afraid of is it being too loud and droning with the soft top.
Yeah.
I don't want to make my truck uncomfortable to ride in on a long trip.
Amen, sir. Amen.
So the biggest thing is where your reasoning for that being high tuck makes a ton of sense. I haven't hit my muffler yet. At least maybe I need to go look at
I was
it, but
going
I
to say
don't
you
think
better
I
go
have.
inspect your truck.
But it would be nicer to get something smaller in there, just to kind of free up that space. But the one thing is it's twin turbo. I mean, yours is too, so that should help cut down on a little bit of noise. And it's a V6, so it's never going to sound super phenomenal.
Right.
But I don't know. I'm going to have to hear a lot of them in person before I make a decision on what to do.
Right.
So do you know what this one says? I said, "Why do we need an exhaust?" He says, "Do you like the sound of the TRX?" And I said, "Yeah."
No, you said why? And I said, what was I saying? It's something about, I'm not comparing it to the TRX, but I said,
Right.
"Did you like the rumbles of that?" And I said, the Bronco's really quiet right now. I said, "I want just a little something out of it."
Well, he said, "You like the rumbles of the TRX, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, because it's a V8. We're not talking about the same vehicle here. I
There we
like
go. That's
the
a better
rumble
picture.
of the TRX. You're not going to get the rumble out of this V6, even if you do that." I said, I don't want it to sound ricey. And he says, "You do realize that this is my Bronco too, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm the one that drives it all the time, and I don't want it to sound ricey."
So the one thing that I am kind of amazed about is how quiet the Bronco is, because
Yes.
after it idles for, I don't know, 30 seconds,
You think it
all
shut
of a
off?
sudden it's like, yes. But I've snuck up on people and it cracks me up because all of a sudden they're like, where did this truck come from? And they're like, is this electric? I'm like, no, it just, I don't know what it's doing. It's just super freaking quiet somehow.
Yeah, no, I'm like that. I remember the first time it just idling down. I was like, did this thing just shut off? Do I have the drop
Right.
valve? Did I get a drop? Like, did the engine just cease?
You just doomsday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm totally there with you on that. Trying to pull up.
Yeah, that's super. I don't know how it does it.
Yeah, I've never had a car that just like the computer's just like, okay, time to tone it down.
We're running good enough now.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to find this and get it where you guys can hear this a little bit. But no, I'm super excited to out of all of them. I've seen the Flowmaster, whatever, where you can just basically delete the muffler and just straight pipe it. I wanted a little something, but
right.
Hey,
well, the good thing too, though, is about a truck like the Bronco. So, like, obviously, I've said it a million times, came from the Nissan world. That was all custom. That you weren't really going to buy much for. You were welding on a new exhaust, and you weren't easily changing it in and out.
Yeah.
The one thing with all these Bronco systems is, as long as you don't trash the stock stuff taking it off, it's not really going to be that hard to just switch it back if you really need to.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, that's the thing with this is of course I'm in the business of trying this stuff out anyway. So if I don't like it,
right.
Nice.
It's not the end of the world. So let me throw this up here. Oh wait, I gotta make sure it shares this damn sound. Well, listen to this real quick. Maybe. Now I have zero issue with this tip. I'm not putting the tip on this thing. It's ridiculous. She's over here breathing heavy. It's not crazy, I don't feel like. I don't know. In the comments, let me know, guys, what you guys think, because
see, that's my thing is I don't dislike like a little bit of noise or the rumble. It's when I'm going 75, it needs to not be there.
Oh no, the Juke that I built, no, that was at 75. It wasn't completely as loud as it could be, but it was knew it was going a little bit. And no, that was, but that was a different car. She'll get over it.
Right.
Yeah, here we go. On another note, Jason Boyd says, Dave, I really liked your video of all those high dollar vehicles. Way out of my league. LOL.
Yeah, way out of my league too.
Us too, man. And when I looked up the other Defender that we saw on site, it was a $70,000 1991.
Yeah,
I believe is the year on it.
So we were at Cool Springs, Luke. I don't know if you saw that video or not.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
But sorry, I'm cutting you off.
That's fine.
He does it all night. Just do it.
So in Colorado Springs, we went to the zoo, and the night before we went, there was a Land Rover, Range Rover event, and I have seen. Is it called the Defender again? The new ones,
the new 110.
So
yeah,
I've seen a bunch of them, all throughout our trip, and I'm like, I like that vehicle for a modern SUV. I think it's very cool looking. I like the hard lines and the flat back. It's just very different. But there was an all-white one with white steelies. And I'm like, okay, this thing looks sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And there was also a baby blue with a white roof, kind of like the old school look.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, these are awesome. And they were from like Land Rover of Cool Springs. Now I forgot where it was. Colorado Springs, man.
Spring somewhere.
And so they had the tags in them, and I'm reading through it, and I didn't realize that they only came with a 4-cylinder turbo.
I think you can get a 6 too. You can get a 6 in the new ones, yeah.
Well, these were both 4-cylinder turbos, and like they had a lot of bells and whistles, but they were ultimately like had the ladder on the side. One of them had a snorkel. Like they were keyed for off-roading. But then
Right.
I get to the price tag and it was 76, I think, 74 for one, 76, and I'm like, that's insane because it was like comparing it to a Bronco, which it kind of
Yeah.
would. Like you get way more in the Ford than you do in that. There's probably a little more plush creature comforts, but that's not what I need.
Yeah.
But like their 4-cylinder turbo was like 295 or something horsepower, and I'm like, it doesn't even have the same power, and this is a way bigger vehicle.
Yeah, no, the new ones are definitely they're, kind of toys. They're completely independent suspension on those things. And I'm sure
Yeah.
they're probably great vehicle, except for I know TFL got one of the early ones and they had nothing but trouble with it. And then they
Right.
gave
Well,
them
and they ruined the tires on those things.
they gave it I think they gave them another one and they had problems with it. And I think they just quietly
Oh,
got rid of that one. But yeah,
okay.
no, they're not like what the Defenders we were looking at, and the trucks, the
Right.
little Defender trucks that one video I dropped this afternoon, they're so rare to see. And
Oh,
dude, that
yeah.
thing had 2,000 miles on it, a 1991 with 2,000 miles.
Mhm.
It was nearly showroom clean, man. It was I was like, holy
Okay.
hell! But it was what 115, 119,000.
I don't
Oh,
remember
geez.
100 and something.
Yeah, no, I was just like, well, I might find a barn one day that I could afford that the
Right.
farmer he doesn't know what
Well,
he has.
did they even make the pickups though here, or were they all imported?
No, those were all imported. I think they're
Okay.
completely all imported. No, they're the I forget Doug DeMuro did a thing on them talking about the American spec versus the English spec, and one or the other was a much better vehicle. Something probably the English spec because once
Probably.
carb gets a hold of anything, they ruin it. Um,
Hello.
but our cats decided to join the stream.
I'll take you off my laptop. I'll let you bother with Dad.
Yeah, one's snotty. You can't have my whiskey. But no, but they had 6 Broncos at that place, man. Freaking ridiculous. And I love they had a base squatch for $70,000, something like that.
Yeah,
And I was
something
like,
crazy.
no way in hell I'm
So
paying.
on yours, is the climate control like a little chrome knob to turn the fan up and down?
It's a lever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
like a little chrome. So I drove one of the paint protection films that I did was on a base squatch.
Mhm.
And I got in and I'm like, this is actually pretty nice. Like this
Mhm.
has a lot of what you need. But the one thing is he didn't have that. It's just
Yeah,
a
the
black button.
little dude
Yeah.
looks like it's
Oh, is
And
that
I'm
goofy.
like,
why I see the little dude in there?
Yeah.
I thought it was a Bronco Sport.
No.
Wow.
no. And I'm like, huh, that's different. Like,
Mhm.
was that worth changing out? Like, I don't know why that really surprised me. But I also, for some reason, like the little lever. I just, it's kind of a neat little thing, and it's convenient to just. You built the Juke. It's
It depends on
convenient
the
to just
day for me.
Yeah.
reach over and flip it up.
Mark, I did build a Juke during the pandemic. If you go over to Nissan Nation Productions channel, my other YouTube channel, and you can see all what I did to that. I got 220 or 242 horsepower out of that little thing.
Yeah.
So there's that Land Rover.
Yeah, so 189,000. I wouldn't even close.
Mm-mm.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, 2,700 miles on that thing. Ridiculous. But dude, in that video that we released this morning, did you see that Panamera had the keys sitting in it with the window down?
Yeah. Well, and that was how many miles did you say were on that?
I don't remember on that one.
That was pretty
I
low
can tell
miles
you.
too.
It was 60K, I think is what they wanted for that one. So still ridiculous, but
Yeah.
no, I couldn't believe that Kelly had noticed that when I was filming something else, and I was like, I'm gonna have to put that to video.
Well, I noticed first that the window was down, and I was like, oh dang, we haven't had rain in like a month.
Yeah.
And we were expected to get rain yesterday.
Well,
And
it got rained on.
Oh, it totally got rained on yesterday. And we were supposed to get rain yesterday. And I was like, oh no, the window's down and it's Sunday and it's closed. And then I happened to just like, oh, I can actually see in the window. So I looked, and sure enough, the key was sitting there, and I was like, oh shit. That can't be good.
Yeah, but I did this video because we were in the area, and Cool Springs is where a lot of headquarters are from Nashville.
Right.
Mitsubishi's there, Nissan's their headquarters there. I think Bridgestone is actually downtown now. But it's where all the stars there when they're coming up live, and once they get your Tim McGraw money, they move out to the country. But
Right.
they all live in this area, so the car lots there are nuts. What they have sometimes because they're looking for that little up and coming music exec or somebody that wants to
Right.
look the part. And no, that dealership always has something cool, anyways. But we saw 6 over there, and I was like, turning the Bronco around. I was like, we gotta go see what that's
Yeah,
about.
we as we were pulling in, because we were going to a store over there, as we were pulling in, he goes, look at all those Broncos. And I was like, we totally need to do a video in that parking lot when we come back around. And sure enough, and then we started pulling in. I was like, dude, there's a TRX over there. And then we saw the Raptor, and we're like, well, damn, this is a stupid expensive lot.
So you reminded me of something else on our trip, though. So when I see another Bronco on the road, I am like a giddy little schoolgirl,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I wave at them.
Oh yeah.
And I'm so excited. And then I get so pissed when the person doesn't even look at me. And I'm like,
Yes.
what is happening? Like, how are you not head on a swivel looking for every other Bronco? Like,
Same.
it drives me crazy. Like, there's one guy that I passed, and I must have been too enthusiastic, and he like kind of gave me like a it was like weird crossed look. It's like, dude, I'm in a Bronco. Isn't this exciting? Like, there's more than 2 on the road.
Oh,
Right. No, you're fine.
you were sharing, I was sharing. So there is
That's probably the one we were.
that's the one that had the keys in it. So 59,000. Let's see, how many miles did it say? 17,000 miles on it.
Yeah,
Only one left, maybe, if it's still there.
They had like 5 or 6 of those things sitting over there.
But to your point, Luke, yeah, I do the same thing. We don't see them very often here in this area, but when we do, I'm like, I don't want to be like a total schoolgirl, but at the same point, I kind of like want to acknowledge, and I'm like, hey, and then I feel like a dummy because they didn't acknowledge.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you weren't even looking.
Very rarely.
You weren't even looking.
Yes.
There was one I was trying to get his attention because it like had a lot of stuff done to it. And also, if you were in Moab when I was, and I saw your Bronco, I threw a bunch of lifestyle stickers under the windshield wiper. I did that a few times.
I bet. I'm sure you saw a few in Moab, right?
Yeah, there was one, a newer one, Eruption Green, had Indiana plates, so he is on a long trip too. And he was going up Escalator, I think, on Hell's Revenge. He was with a big Jeep group. I saw a few just in town at different restaurants. There was one guy that was on Bronco 6G saying that he ruined his rear bumper when he was out there. And I tried messaging him. I'm like, I know a bumper company. Like,
Right.
I'll make you a deal, but he hasn't hit me up yet.
Well, there's that 2 week. It's 2 weeks to flatten the sales curve, buddy.
Right. Right.
Well, dude, we could talk all night about Moab. Kind of wrapping it up, man. Would you drive out there again if be like, hey, I have a couple weeks off, let's go again, or is it something like, I've done that now with the Bronco, I'm off to explore else places?
I will definitely go back there again because it kind of like, especially after you leave a little bit, it's kind of like a little bit of been there, done that. But we had so much fun, and like we stayed, like our house was in a prime location.
So it was. I figured it was.
Yeah.
So it was great.
Like, I know, like, the problem with those condos we've always stayed in is they're so far south of town.
Yeah.
So I know that there is stuff available closer to town, which just made it that much better. So I definitely do want to go back out there. And like I said earlier, I want to go with a couple more capable rigs. 2 was fine, but 3, 4 would be that much better and just make you kind of ease your mind a little bit. But at the same time, like there's places in southern Missouri that are known for really good four-wheeling that I need to go visit. And I don't know. The whole point for my Bronco is to really see a lot of different things. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely want to get to Michigan to the dunes, man. I want to go up that
Mhm.
way, and I want to see the upper. That's one place I've
yeah,
not gotten to explore yet is the upper.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
the mosquitoes. I'm scared they might fly off with me or something.
They
They
might.
might up there.
Yeah. Hey, are you doing the next Supercell?
The
The one in
Wisconsin one.
Wisconsin?
Yeah.
No, I am not. It just is kind of crappy timing because it's really next week.
Oh, is it? I knew
Yeah,
it
it's
was
right
coming
around
up.
the 4th of July.
Yeah, it's right after the 4th of July.
Mhm.
So that was part of it is it falls on literally I would have to take every one of those days off, even the Saturday, because that's part.
Oh, lost Luke.
There we
There
go.
you are.
There he is.
But it's just too close to me just to being off for 2 weeks. So it's
Yeah.
like, well, I know it's only 5 hours away, but the other thing, and I need to look at the schedule. I was born in Wisconsin. I've gone there my entire life. There's not wheeling in Wisconsin. So like at the Supercell we went to, they went to Windrock and they did other local things. There is none of that there. So
Oh.
I've been kind of watching the page because they're advertising rides. And I'm like, what are you gonna do? Because there's nothing. Because Wisconsin Dells is a lot like Gatlinburg. It's a tourist destination.
Mhm.
It is mini golf. It is like water parks. It's
Maybe you ride to the mini golf place. That's what you do.
you might. There's a couple gravel roads on the outside of town that you can take to the local farmer, the dairy farm, and get yourself some fresh milk. But there's not an off-road park. There's not like trails or anything.
Yeah.
So I'll be interested to see what they do. Realistically, next year, that will be on my radar to do as a sponsor and participate in the event because it is so close. But unfortunately, this year, just timing didn't work out.
Yeah. John Burnett's asking, have I thought, or I'm assuming have we
in general
thought about an RTT or pulling an off-road trailer? I have plans. Our buddy, we have a friend that builds off-road trailers with Hep's Designs, and I've been itching to buy one of those from him, but I need I have other needs right now.
Yeah.
But no, we're pretty friendly with CVT tents, and I could get that stuff and build something pretty easy. But right now I have a Datsun trailer in the backyard that I was going to build into a trailer a couple years ago.
We've been in this house for 4 years.
Yeah, I've had
It's
it
been
for
probably
5 years.
Backyard for 4 years. It was in our yard for a year before that at the other house.
But it's not going to rust away. It's real steel.
Yeah.
But
how about you, Luke? How RTT or pulling an off-road trailer?
No, I don't.
No desire.
No, I mean I don't know the company. There is a company that makes a roof rack for the soft top, but I don't have a lot of desire to climb up on my roof all the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pluses to it, but I also see some minuses. And a family of 4, that's a big ass tent that's ruining all aerodynamics. It's a lot of extra weight.
Yeah.
I have a really nice ground tent. If we're going to go camping, that's the route that I will go. And as far as a trailer, I like the idea. I don't have the room to store one is my problem.
It's just that you're pretty maxed out there.
Yeah.
Between your boat and your vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always like the idea of a trailer of having a little off-road trailer so I could pull it in the backyard. And because I like to get a whim up my ass about like, let's just go. We're going right now. And the idea of something being completely packed, and when I want to do that, we can just go. But no, it's expensive. And if you look at some of the actual camper trailers now, the little off-road style camper trailers, you get $35,000 in one of them stupid things.
Oh yeah,
man. It's ridiculous.
there's a company by me, and it's actually the guy. They might be called Scamp or Scout. I'll have to find it. But anyway, he works with local Boy Scout troops, and he or Cub Scout, whatever it is. No, it'd be Boy Scout.
I think they're just called the Scouts now, Luke.
Yeah, whatever it is. He works with them, and they build these little pod campers, and he gets like a fiberglass shell and builds a camper out of it. And they're freaking awesome. They have a little sink, like a little kitchen area. It can sleep like 3 or 4. And he's like, this would look really good behind a Bronco. And I'm like, it would look good behind a Bronco. And then for $25,000, you can have it. And I'm like, oh, no, I can't do that.
Scamp or Casita?
You know what's funny though? Like some of that stuff, I remember before the overland craze, you could get a little small pull behind for like $8,000.
Right.
Pretty decked out. And then you add the term overland, and suddenly they're like, everybody's like, oh, I can get triple the price for these things.
Right.
It's ridiculous. But no, I mean, I seen the boat you're pulling, it's not a light boat by any means. So, you could pull a trailer with that pretty easily.
Oh, definitely.
Didn't look like you were squatted down much or.
It definitely did a little, but not much. And I looked it up because somebody asked, and there's actually a sticker on the trailer. I need to go check for what the weight really is. It's for an 18-foot boat. Mine is fairly heavy, but it was saying that it was around like 2,600-ish with the trailer. I don't know if that's with or without a full tank of gas though too, so that could add quite a bit of weight.
Right.
But yeah, I was really surprised with how well it pulled. Just being on 35s, add 35s to any truck, and that makes towing drastically different. And like the way Dave knows where I am. It's not the most, it's a little bit remote. Like I'm taking a lot of back roads to get out of town to the lake. So it's windy 2-lane roads, and I was really pleased with how well the Bronco tows.
Yeah, no, I'm and I seen somebody was asking about what you were using for towing, and you had the Kurt hitch, right?
Yeah, the aftermarket.
I just have the Kurt hitch, which I do. My trailer lights don't work. Which I think it's Budget Bronco YouTube channel addresses that. I do need to go rewatch that video because there's a one pin that he says to move. Now, before I hooked up my boat, I thought that he was saying there was like one function didn't work. Like I didn't have turn signals, and I'm like, right. I don't need them. So
who needs blinker fluid?
But it turns out that none of them work. So if you're buying an aftermarket hitch, you need to be careful about the wiring harness you choose. And it kind of sounded like, at least at the time of his video, all of them were pinned out only for the LED taillights. So if you have a Big Bend, or a Black Diamond with halogen, you need to change the pinout of the plugs. And it's not like an overly difficult task, but if you don't do it, they literally do nothing.
Well,
that is interesting.
That's been towing with Lifestyle Off-Road.
Right.
So obviously, like you were saying, Luke, it's the time, if you want to order bumpers, it's the time to do it, because there's a nice little gap in the before the Christmas sales and stuff kick in.
Or skid plates too. We've got skid plates that are ready to stamp out and bend up and ship out. So,
well, there you guys go. Luke, it's always fun having you on the show, man.
Yeah.
I'm completely jealous that you got to go to Moab without us, but I'm glad you and the family had fun. It sounds like the little dude, he had a blast, because Luke's little boy loves trucks, man. Just loves trucks. So
we lived vicariously through you all week long.
Yeah. I was like, well, he's saving some stuff for social media. I know what he's doing. I get to see the whole trip.
Well, the drone, you kind of put it away and you forget, like, oh,
Yeah.
that shot is on there. So I have to get that out and upload all those videos too. So I have some stuff stashed away. Just need time to go through it all.
Luke's discount code is Kelly's Bronco. I see. Yeah. Funny.
John, you don't actually need your Bronco before you order a bumper. There's plenty of folks on this chat that had
They've
a
been
truck's worth of things waiting in their garage for their Broncos.
Yeah.
I know I did. I had a winch before I even had a bumper design, and it sat in my basement for a year. So.
Well, I remember talking to you about when the 4-wheel parts stuff started popping out, and I'm not a fan of their products, but I told Luke, I was like, I could just buy that stuff and have it sit here, and because I plan on reviewing a few lifts down the road anyways, and I was like, I'll use it for a minute, and then I was like, that's a lot of money just to be sitting in my garage waiting. So
right,
yeah,
right. I had that same problem. Every now and then I was like, I don't know, that's a pretty good deal, and it's like I hadn't even seen a Bronco in person. It's like I'll buy it anyway, and I had a literal box of parts. It's like, all right, the Bronco's here. Where's this stuff go now?
So Luke, I have a question for you, and I don't think we've talked about this, but we definitely haven't talked about it with you on the channel. So obviously, when we were all Nissan folks, we were like, we had to be inventive and figure out ways to do things because there just wasn't a market to support what we love to do and wanted to do for our vehicles. So we either made it ourselves or we made things work. So with you now having paid full price for your Bronco, do you find that still sneaks in where you're like, oh, I got to do it for the cheapest possible? Or do you find that you're like, hey, I need to put a quality product on here, talking about like, do you do a lot of research before you put certain things on, or do you just say, hey, let's see if this works with us?
So for me, it's a little bit different between those reasonings. So for me, it's more the convenience of I can buy it now versus before it was I had to make it if I wanted it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been, and part of it too is being the company that makes things.
Mm-hmm.
It's trying to figure out what exactly my lane and direction is going to be. But then I've all of a sudden, Supercell was a big eye opener. So a lot of the companies that were there, realistically, the Bronc Buster stuff, will specifically say the tie rod braces.
Mm-hmm.
I could make those.
Mm-hmm.
I could make them all day long. But you meet Tyler, you find out his reasoning, you're like, I like that guy. I like what he's trying to do. I'm going to buy those. So then it's like, okay, that's not my lane for my business. It's convenient that I can just buy it. It's done. Mm-hmm. I don't have to try and figure it out. Same with Mountains to Metal. I met those guys out there, and I kept going back to their website. Again, we have the capabilities that we could make that stuff, but I like what he's doing. I talked to him on the phone a few times. It's like, okay, this is convenient. I'm just going to buy his stuff, and that's not something we're going to bring to the market.
Yeah.
And maybe those aren't, in some people's eyes, the best business decisions, but I would also like to have long-term friends that are in this community and small businesses supporting small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So the convenience factor and the fact that, and realistically, the scary part is there's not a ton of Bronco parts out yet. Mm-mm. And more are coming in, and it's like my wallet already hurts for the future. But then every now and then too, I do have that itch to make something one-off, because there is something to be said for that as well. And even so my bumper is slightly a one-off just because the way we had the lights mounted on the front bar, it's a little bit different. Now, we'll do something very similar for a customer, of course, but mine's got to be a little bit different because it's mine kind of thing. But then I'm also
because you have the party and you're able to make those changes.
Exactly. And there's just little things like that. I do have a lot of enjoyment out of making the stuff. And I like somebody at like a car show or an event going, wow, that's really cool. And then you're like, yep, I made it. And like, that brings me a lot of gratification doing that. There hasn't been much of that done to my truck yet, but you will eventually see more. So it's a little bit of both worlds.
Nice.
Well, we could talk for hours. I want to say
Right.
thank you for
And we
being
do.
on the show. Next week on the Monday show, we have Bucked Bronco, and I know Luke, you just talked to those guys, so
Yeah,
that should be fun. He built a hell of a Bronco on 40s, man. It's ridiculous.
I know.
But the Florida guys are always crazy. They're always doing
Yep.
something crazy. So that should be fun. Tomorrow night it's Moab continued. We're going to talk Jeep Gladiator because our friends James with Shocker Racing Garage was literally I could have had Luke introduce them. So, like they were
Yeah.
there at the same time from Chicago.
Again, I was living vicariously through their trip.
I know. He's got that killer neon.
Mhm.
He's got a neon Bronco that they're trying to sell, but he's got his neon Jeep Gladiator. It's ridiculous on 40s, and I can't wait to talk to James about that because it's been a minute. So Kelly, any final thoughts?
No. Thanks everybody for joining this evening. We appreciate you, and thanks Luke for coming on and talking.
Yeah,
and
thanks for having me again.
of course.
Yeah.
And sorry if we bored you all with all of our side talk. We've known Luke for how many years now? 12? I think it's about
11 or
12.
12, yeah.
Well, Sid's about to turn 12, so probably about 12 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So join us tomorrow night for the happy hour,
Mhm.
and till next time. This
At
is
8 o'clock Central.
That's right. This has been whether it be 2-wheel drive,
4-wheel drive.
it does not matter what you drive. This has been your all-terrain nation, and we're out there driving some Broncos, and I can't wait to get mine really off-road. Peace, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See ya.